all these environmentalists taking on mining companies in the Amazon, and he virtually became like the mining company's like fucking protege or whatever. So, but at least it gets more exposed there. I think that's the difference, is that shit's going on in the U.S. There's no doubt, but there's far more people willing to stand up and say it how it is, you know. Whereas I feel like in Australia, it's just like, I don't know. Yeah, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, that. I just think, like, well, George Orwell, he wrote a book called
1984.
1984.
Yeah, Animal Farm, I think he wrote as well.
Yep. And he was talking about how if you keep the people, you know, like entertained and drunk, that's how you'll, secure that police state kind of thing, you know. And I think, that's pretty much the Aussie culture.
Exactly. That's why sometimes, like, I'm kind of, like, I like coming back, but I'm almost looking forward to going back to the States, even if it's I don't know, I'll just responsible guy, you know. He like looks after it. He's not like a radical dude. He just strongly believes, because in New Hampshire their state motto is live free or die.
Yeah, right.
And that's, so a lot of people,
Hampshire. New
Hampshire, yeah. So it's over near Vermont. It's a smaller state, but it's one of the first 13 states, you know.
Yep.
And it was just really interesting talking to him about, you know, about the Second Amendment, you know, the right to bear arms against because they're really paranoid of tyrannical governments there, you know. It's like, that's the topic of conversation, you know. Yeah, right in there, it's really tight. And it was just really interesting, because I've never owned a gun myself, you know. But I've started to just realize power lies with the gun, you know what I mean? It's not just with the pen. I mean, yeah, the pen's great, but revolutions are fought with guns, you know.
Yeah.
And power, people are controlled by guns. You know, like here, we're scared of the government because they have the guns.
Yeah. Wow.
And it was just interesting.
We're just seeing is that someone in the military just has to, the George Washington has to be coming out of the military then.
But the military, I think, I was talking, because my dad was a acting captain in the Australian Army. And he said, I was talking about all this war crime, you know, like, because a lot of the soldiers, I think, that they've got now are inculcated into a perverted thing of killing innocent people and stuff, you know. And I think they purposely did that. I think a while ago they didn't want soldiers with honor. I think what they've done is tried to get people who are more like hired killers in the SAS and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right. Is that what you?
Because that's what my dad said. He said there's no way that those, like the execution of prisoners and things like that. I mean, yeah, sure, it happened in World War II with the Japanese, but in general, like, there was more, he said that there was more honor, you know, and there would have been probably more likelihood that the military would have had a coup, you know. But now, I don't think so. I think that they've also made sure that the Australian Army are, again, more obsessed with drinking and you know, but chuck in a bunch of people that are immoral killers, right? Who you can also control.
Yeah, well, that's what all the recent stuff with the bloody the SAS.
Exactly. I mean, the SAS, as if they didn't know about the codes of war, right? Like, you know, you don't go killing. I mean, they were drinking from that guy's prosthetic leg that they executed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how much more weird do you get than execute a guy and take his prosthetic leg and drink beer out of it?
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
It's sick. Like, that's a sickness, you know what I mean? Like, especially when he wasn't even the enemy combatant. He was just an Afghan, an innocent man. That's sick. And if that's the elite of your armed forces doing that they don't know better. And guess what? The only person that's been put into jail so far with all that war crime stuff is the guy that blew the whistle on it.
Yeah, that's right.
He's the only one. So how fucked up is the military in Australia when they got no honor? They're not like godly warriors. You know what I mean? Like they're not like people that believe in God and go, hey, I have I'm protecting innocent people because like like police and military should be, right? Because they're and I think that they've purposely done that because it's kind of like the Nazis when in World War II. In the SS, they actually rid the prisons of a lot of like murderers and stuff to fill up the Einsatzgruppen and stuff who did a lot of the executions of the Jews and the political opponents, because the regular army started to refuse to just execute innocent people because it was against their code of honor. So Hitler didn't like that. He wanted people that had no honor, that would, and I think that what's going on with the SAS.
Was that all there, is it, Brandon?
Yeah, it is more indicative of something that would have happened in Nazi Germany. Like, why are people executing, you know what I mean? Like, rather than a modern military, they'd know better. I mean, like, it's like professionalism 101 as a soldier. You're there to fight a war. You're not there to kill innocent people. There's a big difference, right? There's a huge difference. One's a murderer. One's a sadistic murderer, and one's an honorable person fighting against, people that are
taking away other people's freedoms.
Right.
There is a difference.
Oh, there's a fucking major difference, It's kind of like a priest, abusing people, sexually abusive people. It's not the same as a priest being a good priest, or a cop. If you're a cop and you're enjoying the fact that you're shooting innocent people, because that's basically what the military is kind of like, like a sort of police force in a sense, but they're global and international, and also representing Australia.
Yeah.
So I mean, the Chinese had a great bunch of cartoons drawn from that, like these are the Australian military, and this is what they do to innocent people, So how does that help Australia? Yeah. But how did the government not know that that's the mentality? I mean, with all the your elite thing, you don't even know that that's the mentality that your soldiers, and you don't even what I mean? As if they didn't know, they didn't do any psychological profiles of their own soldiers to go, well, this guy's actually a murderer. He's got sadistic tendencies,
Yeah, that should be all in the psych test.
It should be all in the psych test, of course. So what's going on? What's going on? Is something bad going on, is what I'd say. Because if the government is hiring people like that, and it's not just one, there was a lot. It's an epidemic throughout the SAS, then that's a problem. It's a big problem. And because in the end, if there was a revolution in Australia, it wouldn't just be the police, it would be the military.
Yeah, that's right. They'll jump on board too.
They'll jump on board, right? And if you haven't got, and that's why they don't want, I think they don't want people with honor and, answering to God and all that kind of stuff, and answering to their own conscience. So, I don't know. That was a pretty disgraceful mark on Australian, And again, what's going on with that? How come they're not in jail? How come people aren't being investigated more,
They quietened it all down.
They did.
So David McBride, have you heard of David McBride?
Yeah, I've heard that.
He was the one blowing lid on it. He's
the one in jail.
He's the one in jail.
Right. That's what I mean. The level of corruption in Australia is enormous. And it's getting worse, I think, I think there's less and less people willing to stand up. People are scared. I think, in the last, say, 20, 30 years, I've seen people less willing to stand up than more. You know what I mean? Australia's actually getting worse because there was that whole trade union movement. Like even in the Vietnam War, you had like some of the unions in Sydney would boycott they were quite militant, the builders workers unions, and people have voted in Whitlam and stuff like that, but there's no movement like that in Australia,
Yeah.
Currently, it's just more people are isolated, people are caught up, I think people are confused. I think people are disempowered, and it's sad if you ask me. It's sad because I think Australia could be so much better a country. But yeah, it needs, and I think there's the whole demasculinization thing that's going on here. You know what I mean? That once you demasculinize people, they're not going to fight. They're not going to, you know what I mean? They're just being, you know, like I was talking about before, with that whole even just men are bad. You know, even in domestic violence situations, it's not gender based. They're trying to make it gender based when it's actually just it's a soul based thing. If people are mean, they're mean.
Yeah.
Women can be mean, men can be mean, but it's part of the, I think, a mass demasculinization thing, because if people aren't masculine, they're not willing to fight and die. I mean, the typical, like if you look at a godly warrior, they're willing to fight and die, you know. But it could be a woman, you know. Like you look at Tulsi Gabbard in the U.S., she was a colonel and she's a, you know, but there's a trait of being able to fight for what you believe in, you know. Whether you call that masculine or whatever, it doesn't matter. You know, we each have masculine and feminine within us, but that's the healthiness of them. The healthy masculinity is to protect your loved ones and to protect your country and to serve God in a way that, you know, may require you to die on a battlefield. So yeah, I think that's getting less and less in Australia. It's getting less and less all over the world, but particularly Australia, I think, and Canada. And I think with New Zealand, I think they're just feeling a bit confused and don't know what they're doing. You know, they're kind of like, especially the conflict with them. You know, because obviously Maoris can be quite warrior-like. You know.
Yeah. But
they've been also mind fucked.
Yep. That's right.
So it all comes back down, and then you got the British with, you know, like it's just they're a bit confused too.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think the problem with the British is that they've been mind bred to believe that being British means that the monarchy is part of British society. You know what I mean? It's part of being English, part of, you know. Whereas, why does it have to be? You know, they're just people that are exploited, and you know, and it's this whole idea that in England it's just so inculcated into people that, you know, class and, you know, like, instead of people all being equal. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I think if anything would happen, it'll be, you know, with going down the lines of legally finding the loophole and standing up in court.
But the problem is that the courts are all established by the British. You know what I mean? And they can corrupt those courts.
Oh, they have.
Well, they have, and they'll continue to do so. You're not going to win in court because, well, the judges are, first of all, that's what I realized when that whole health ombudsman thing. It's like these judges are all appointed, you know what I mean, by the powers that be. Yeah. So it's kind of like you've got this justice system that, again, who set it up, and who's even appointing the judges, you know? And I think that's the key question, because otherwise you're again, we were putting faith. See, the Americans with their revolution, they didn't put the faith in the justice system, and the British, you know, because in the end, all power lies with the monarchy, and if the monarchy's corrupt, and I don't think, like I Prince Charles or King Charles or whatever, I mean, I think, like, you know, he had some good things going on a while back, but I think he's right into the. He's not standing up for what's right, you know? No. He was in bed with the Saudis with their arms deals and stuff. He was actually into natural medicine when he was more, you know what I mean? Like, he had some good things, but he's pushed down by the powers that be, you know?
You wonder that. You wonder who they answer to.
Yeah.
That's what I learned at the beginning of the year. There's 3 crowns. The financial crown, the political crown. The crown was in Washington DC, which is like the corporate crown. The financial crown is in the city of London, as opposed to London City, or is it London City or City of London? And there was the spiritual crown, the Vatican.
Oh right, yeah.
And like they're the 3 crowns of the world that's meant to be running everything.
Yeah, well, that. Not surprising.
Probably who King Charles answers to.
Well, yeah, of course. he's definitely answers to other people. You know, there's no doubt about it. He's not like a, and a lot of people think, oh, that's great.
That's pretty charged there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. That's why I think we just monarchy, got to get rid of the monarchy, and you know, have like an elected president, at least with what's going on in America. Like whether you like either one, at least there's a hell of a lot of debate, a hell of a lot of ideas. If they can keep their democracy secure, and then people are allowed to debate, people are allowed to have their points of view, and you can hear it, you know, then, you know, that's the best system that's possible, I think, on this planet, you know, in this day and age.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, the monarchy is outdated, if you ask me. It's completely outdated.
100%. I mean, they don't even run the show anyway, as we're saying, so why the hell are we putting them as our authority?
You know, because we're actually in a potentially great situation, in fact, with freedom of the press, because of the internet, you know, like we can all choose where we get our information from, you know. So in that sense, we're better off than we were back when it was just newspapers and you just had to, you know, like your whole information came from like an editor of a newspaper, you know, Rupert Murdoch and whatever his point of view was. And of course we still got that because he could, but like, even if you don't like the mainstream, there's plenty of different, you know, internet websites you could look at to get your information or whatever, you know. So we are in the information age. So why not then, shouldn't democracy kind of reflect that? And the idea of debating, you know, the whole First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution is to protect speech that isn't necessarily the mainstream, you know, and how things get resolved is through debates. And through, you know, like if somebody's got a stupid idea, it shouldn't be censored like what they're trying to do now. It should just be somebody debates it, you know, and provides, instead of like, because, you know, Australian government's right into all that kind of like, censorship, and, you know, like they don't want, they were trying to stop Candace Owens from coming over to Australia because, we don't like what she's got to say, you know.
Who doesn't like what she's got to say?
The Australian government.
Yeah, that's stupid.
It's stupid. If you don't like what God say something else and defeat her in argument.
Yeah,
you know?
That's right.
That's how it should be.
That's right. Yeah, you don't like what saying, just like prove her wrong.
Exactly.
Prove her wrong what she's saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just okay. Yeah, well, she's saying the right thing and you're covering up.
Right, and that's what was happening during COVID as well. All that kind, you know, like if people should be able to, you know, defeat each other or whoever makes the most sense. You know, people go, oh right, wait, actually that makes more sense than, you know, instead of like, shut that guy, he's not allowed to speak, you know? It doesn't work anyway, because most of the time when the government tells you not to listen to somebody, what's the first thing you want to do?
Okay, why?
Yeah.
Why? Okay, let's listen to this guy.
Yeah,
why doesn't the government want them to...
That's right. So freedom of speech, that's the whole basis of it. It's not that everybody's right or anything like that. It's that from the best interests of the public, from the whole we the people, you know, when we think we the people, of the people, for the people, is to provide debate so that, you know, people can become educated, make a choice, you know. If there's 5 different points of view on a particular topic, then let them all debate, you know. And hopefully the majority of people will be intelligent enough to figure out what's true and what's not, you know. Otherwise, you haven't got anything else. Otherwise, you just got a minority deciding. And they might think they're smarter than other people, but they usually got self-interest.
Yeah.
So you're always looking at some sort of imperfect system.